If the clutch cable in your manual 82 to 95 5-liter Mustang or your manual 96 to 04 Mustang has either failed or is on the way out, then replacing it with the high-performance option from Maximum Motorsports would be a solid option. Now, the Maximum Motorsports cable that we have here will feature a multi-layer design, which is going to be less prone to breakage or freezing up in the long run, along with offering you a bit more header clearance for guys running aftermarket long tubes. Now, the cable will require the use of supplemental parts such as an aftermarket clutch quadrant along with a firewall adjuster, so just keep that in mind before pulling the trigger. Price point for the 100% brand new part will be just south of $100, and the install will get a soft 2 out of 3 wrenches on the difficulty meter according to the site and take you about 2 hours to complete from start to finish. But as always, guys, be sure to hang till the end of the video and we'll show you how it's done. Now, Maximum Motorsports offers a number of parts really that just flat out make your Mustang better, whether it be suspension or drivetrain related, or even smaller parts such as the clutch cable upgrade that we're talking about here today. Now again, if you have a manual Mustang and that clutch has gotten extremely tough to engage, then chances are your clutch cable could be the culprit. Now, in some cases, it could be the quadrant itself or the adjuster, but if you've narrowed it down to the cable, then it's time to replace or upgrade. Now, the Maximum Motorsports cable here will be made in the USA, and get this, by the original company that Ford used to produce those OE clutch cables many moons ago. In fact, Maximum's quick to point out that this cable is not the same as the current Ford Performance option, which Maximum claims is going to be made overseas and with a different design. Again, their words, not mine. Now, because this cable does feature an OE design, they do claim it's going to work a little bit better and last a little bit longer than some other aftermarket clutch cables that you might encounter in the category. Now again, guys, this cable is a tad bit longer, and that's basically going to allow for more header clearance for guys running aftermarket long tubes or even a set of aftermarket shorties. Now, as far as that multi-layer design is concerned, well, Maximum claims that this is going to help prevent the cable from collapsing and also providing more heat resistance and lower friction thanks to the PTFE sheath. Another big thing to point out here, guys, before we get into the installation, and that is the fact that you will need to run an aftermarket quadrant and firewall adjuster kit with the Maximum Motorsports cable. Now, of course, Maximum is going to recommend using their brand for the best fitment and results, but we've had many guys here on the site use options from SR Performance, BBK, or Steeda with great results, and of course you can find those here on the site as well. But as promised, guys, we want to show you how to get this thing in place. So to do so, here is Tony with a detailed walkthrough along with a quick tool breakdown.
Tools used for this installation are as follows: a small impact gun or ratchet, or both, a small pry tool, a 5mm, an 8mm, and a 10mm socket. All right, now let's get started with the installation of our new heavy-duty clutch cable. Now to do that, we're gonna have to start down here underneath the car and disconnect the cable from our clutch fork. And to get to our clutch fork, we're gonna have to remove this cover that covers it up and keeps all the dirt and grime and everything out of that area. Now it's just gonna be a 10mm socket to take the one bolt off, and we'll just slide the cover out of the way and disconnect it from there. After that, there's one retaining clip on the side of the fender well that we're going to disconnect. That's about an 8mm socket. Then we'll move up to the top and get it disconnected from the pedal and slide it out of the firewall. Now with our 10mm socket, we're going to take this bolt out right here at the end of the cover. Now using a small forked pry tool, and just get under the edge here and slide it up towards the open area on our clutch fork. That releases the cable. Now with it out of the clutch fork, we can come over here and release this clip. That'll release it from the bell housing, and we can pull our cable out and through. As you can see, right up here above your oil filter is that little brace attached to your frame rail on your inner wheel well. We have to get that removed using an 8mm socket. Now I'm using an electric ratchet. This just makes it easier if you have one. And that's the little screw that you're gonna take out. And now our cable is disconnected. We can go ahead and move up top and get it disconnected from our pedal. All right, now we gotta do a little bit of automotive yoga and crawl underneath of our dashboard. To get our cable disconnected from the quadrant that's on our clutch pedal. Now it's going to confuse you a little bit because your clutch pedal is going to be all the way over to your left, while the quadrant is actually all the way over to the right, right next to the gas pedal. Well, the quadrant rides on the shaft that connects our brake pedal and clutch pedal together. This makes it a little bit more easy to hide everything under the dash because there is a lot under there. What we're going to do is do our absolute best to show you exactly where it's at. So let's crawl under there and get it disconnected. Now with the use of a 3/16 socket, we're going to go ahead and just remove the 2 bolts that connect this to our firewall. All right, now that we have our old cable out, we do need to change a few more things. Now this doesn't come with your cable, but you are gonna need to upgrade the quadrant that's underneath your dash connected to your pedal. The reason for that, well, the factory one is plastic. They do tend to fail with a heavier cable and heavier clutch. The last thing you wanna do is you be out driving, maybe you're at the track or something, you lose your clutch pedal due to a plastic failure. So we're gonna upgrade it with this nice billet aluminum piece. Now this one is gonna be a 1-piece design, unlike the factory that does come in 2 separate pieces. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this into place, then we'll go ahead and get our new cable installed. All right, now before we get our cable in, we're gonna have to get our new adjuster in our firewall. Unfortunately, we're not gonna be able to use our stock firewall mount because to get it off, we're gonna have to break it. Now, our new adjuster, you can get pretty much any adjuster on the market. You can go ahead with the Maxim Motorsports. We went with this nice blue one, matches the color of our car. Let's go ahead and get this one installed, then we'll get our cable in. Now this installs in our firewall, just using the 2 screws that come in our kit. Now they're pretty much similar to the 2 screws that came out of our vehicle from factory. All right, now we're gonna go ahead and get our cable slid into place. Now you wanna make sure when running this back down to your transmission, you keep it clear of anything that is moving or anything that causes a lot of heat, like your accessory drives or your headers. Now just go ahead and slide that right into our adjuster. Now we'll go ahead and climb back into our car, hook that up to our quadrant, then we'll get our car in the air and hook it back up to our transmission. Just like when we removed the factory cable, we're gonna reach up here and just reconnect it right inside of our quadrant. Now let's go ahead and get underneath the car so we can connect it back to our clutch fork. All right, now back under our vehicle with our cable ran, we're just gonna go ahead and slide it into the receiver part of our transmission. Lock that down into place, slide our cable through, and get it locked into our clutch fork. Now as you can see, it's a little long. We do have a slight bit of adjustment to do up on our firewall. We'll take care of that once we get back up top. But we're gonna get our lock clip in and our cover back on here. Slide the cable through, get it seated on there, and then we're gonna go ahead and get our clip in. Now we'll just adjust out that little bit of play once we get back up top. Now with your 8mm socket and your factory hardware, we're gonna get this cover back on here. All right, now we're done here underneath. Everything's tightened up and back into place. Let's get our car back down on the ground. We'll adjust our new firewall adjuster and take that slack out of our cable and we'll be done. When installing your new cable, it may just be a little bit on the long side. Well, they send you this small spacer to go in there. And how the spacer installs is it actually installs underneath your dash on the clutch pedal side. Now it's very tight under there for us to show you actually on the vehicle. So I have a spare cable here and I'm gonna show you how it installs. What you're gonna do is take the slotted side and slide it over your cable. You're gonna take the small keyway that comes in the kit and just slide that right into the top of the slot. Take a small piece of shrink tube and slide it down over top of everything. Then just go ahead and take a heat gun or your lighter and shrink this all the way down until it's nice and tight. And then that spaces your cable out about 3/4 of an inch. The rest of it you can do with your new adjuster on the firewall. All right, now with the help of a friend, and we went and got Adam to give us a hand, we're gonna have him pushing on the clutch pedals just to see how much play is still in it while we set the adjuster on the firewall. Well, that concludes the installation of our Maxim Motorsports clutch cable in our Mustang. And I hope you enjoyed this video and it showed you just what it takes to go ahead and do this yourself. Now, for more parts and videos like these, make sure you give us a visit at AmericanMuscle.com.